You find yourself lost in Irvingland. Last time, our little band of castaways was preparing to leave this planet. They might want to hurry because it seems the planet is breaking up. You can't blame the poor thing. We've learned that it has a crazy elliptical orbit that takes it within solar flare range of the sun, and it's hollow enough that there are at least three separate civilizations down there, civilizations that apparently don't know about each other. With those kinds of gravitational forces constantly pulling on what is essentially an empty eggshell, it's amazing the planet has lasted this long. My mistake. Three civilizations and that guy.
Name's, Nairn. What's yours?
I'm Will Robinson.
Will.
And I am Dr. Zachary's.
They were discussing that statue, and it didn't take him long to figure Dr. Smith out.
Where do you come from?
Oh, hither and yon in the galaxy of the southern fish. Home's catacornered from Fomalhaut, if you know where that is.
The southern fish is a constellation, not a galaxy, and Fomalhaut is a part of our very own Milky Way galaxy, so he just told them a whole lot of nothing. But I hope he has his own transportation because those planet quakes are getting worse.
That was no earthquake. That was me blasting. I'd put up a sign if I knowed I was going to have company.
Blasting means he's a miner, a prospector. Smith being Smith, he wants to know what Mr. Nairn is prospecting for.
Cosmonium.
Cosmonium. I don't believe I've ever heard of it. I don't suppose it's very precious?
No, it's as common as dirt. That's why he's in a crater blasting for it.
Well, it is. If you know how to get it and what to do with it.
Did you see that? Smith's eyes turned to dollar signs right there in front of us. He asks to see Nairn's operation, and in return, Nairn can examine our drilling site.
Well, I reckon there's no harm. I got the claim all staked.
With whom? On Earth, at least in America, you register a claim with the local government, whether city, county, whatever. Who's the governing authority here? And if he's from somewhere around Fomalhaut, why does he sound like the old prospector in every cheesy Western movie ever made?
I don't see him down there.
Neither do I.
Are you common or ancient?
Well, we mustn't allow our fear to subdue our scientific curiosity, must we?
Well, then let's go.
He said it's been degravitized, so you fall slowly.
What? Oh, I'm frightened. I don't like this at all. Oh, heavens!
Now to find that white rabbit, or at least take a look at Mr. Nairn's operation.
I'll sweep them out of the way.
But Mr. Nairn, they're diamonds.
Dang nuisance is all they are to me. No sooner do I sweep one lot out of the way than there's another slew of them dropping down from the ceiling.
Smith never learns. Just because people on Earth decided they're valuable doesn't mean they're valuable everywhere. What is he going to do with them? Who's he going to sell them to and for what kind of currency? And then what can he buy with the currency? Nairn says, this is the refining operation.
Here, you start shoveling ore, Zach boy.
Zach, boy.
Indeed. However, since he said boy, that gives Dr. Smith the opening he needs to complain about his back and have Will do the work. At the other end, we see that he now has a small flask of...
Another 2 or 3 of these, and I'll be ready to pull out.
urine? He may have mined the wrong part of the cave. What exactly is it, and what does it do, and what do people do with it?
It looks like you've got little bits of sun there, Mr. Nairn.
Don't be ridiculous, Will. What possible use could there be for little bits of sun?
Oh, the boy's smarter than you are, Zach boy.
He knows that, but he really doesn't like being reminded of it.
Bits of sun is just about what this is. Quintessence of the living force that thaws the ice and melts the snow and puts living breath in everything that grows.
Bottled sunlight. But my last question remains. What do people do with it?
The quintessence of the living force. It's beyond price.
Beyond any price you could come up with, mister.
He says, you guys better get back up topside. I have more blasting to do. Will suggests it's dangerous, but he brushes it off.
Oh, Mr. Neary. We shall, of course, meet again.
Can't think of no good reason why we should.
Because he wants to steal your cosmonium. That's the reason. He still has no idea what to do with it or whom to sell it to, but it's valuable to somebody, so he has to have it.
I can't help it. I'm a greedy slob. It's my hobby.
It's time to go. They get back up the same way they got down.
Blow, Dr. Smith.
Nice.
You gotta kick off.
Oh, yes. Kick off.
Just takes a little fizzy lifting drink. Back at the ship, the quakes are getting longer and more intense.
Begin report on seismic disturbance.
Myoseismal area of shock increasing. Region of seismic focus now distributed over entire planet. Subterranean displacement of geologic structure, total and continuous. Core of planet in condition of molten ferment.
Oh no, not molten ferment. Anything but molten ferment. What exactly is molten ferment? Our planet has a molten core, but I'm not sure whether it's fermented or not. And I can't help wondering how much yeast that would take. Translated into English, the planet is coming apart and they have maybe 15 hours to get their stuff together and be somewhere else. Naturally, Dr. Smith is opposed to the whole thing.
Ah, well, I don't suppose I'd be betraying too much of confidence if I told you that all of these alarums and excursions are merely the result of some completely harmless detonations set off by a most remarkable mining engineer.
Will confirms Nerum's existence and his operation, but Smith won't let him say what Nerum is mining, and we know why.
When I think how much cosmonium Mr. Nerum will get after this. Not that I envy him, of course. But what wouldn't I give to have it?
As I said, he has no idea what to do with it, where to sell it, or what kind of currency they use out here, but Nerum said it's more valuable than diamonds, so he has to have it. Shouldn't somebody try to get Mr. Nerum's attention and tell him to skedaddle before the planet turns to space debris?
That means all systems have to be go tomorrow morning at 0600, especially the fuel system.
And your destination is where?
Where it's always been, Smith, Alpha Centauri.
Indeed. I might have considered yielding to your panicky pressures if your destination were Earth. But under the circumstances, I can only repeat that your apprehensions are ill-founded.
Let me get this straight. If they want to go to Earth, then they're right about the planet. But if they want to go to Alpha Centauri, then they're wrong. Have I got that right?
He doesn't understand a thing you've been telling him.
Now, we'll deal with him later. You better take the children and clear out the light stuff from the camp area. Don and I will take care of the heavy equipment. We're going to have a weight problem for takeoff, so...
Just throw out everything we don't need.
Right.
All right.
I won't say it. And by the way, shouldn't somebody go wake up Sleeping Beauty again? She and Checkmarks might need to know about this.
Hurry up. You never realize how much stuff you accumulate until you have to get rid of it. Proving that the acquisitive instinct is still with us. Come on, now help me fold up this table. We're going to need that.
The only place you've been where you could accumulate junk is right here. That means you brought all that crap with you. Right now, every Robinson brain should be screaming, "What was I thinking?" More and more aftershocks are hitting. The planet is cracking open and its molten core is escaping. They're seriously running out of time.
What is all this? Some sort of midnight revel? Hammering, thumping, screeching at the top of your voices, disturbing my nap?
We happen to have a deadline for liftoff, Dr. Smith. Remember?
Oh, that again.
Come on, girls.
Cosmic dust, molten core, and gamma rays. All that bogeyman terminology for scaring children.
It's scaring the adults, too, at least the sensible ones who follow the science. Thing is, they're leaving whether he believes the reason or not. So if he wants to be on the ship when it departs, he'd better get his butt in gear.
Is there anything I can do to expedite your departure?
Yes, as a matter of fact, you can take the chariot, go up to the drill site, pick all the equipment up that's lying around, and bring it back here.
You really expect our Dr. Smith to do all that? Did you hit your head during the last quake?
Delighted to oblige. As a matter of fact, I was thinking of going over there this evening to have a little chat with my friend Mr. Nerum, so that in actual fact I will be killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. May I have the key to the chariot? Thank you, Major. Never fear. Smith is here.
We can all guess how much time will be spent visiting Narum and how much will be spent doing actual work.
What's here?
Now we know how Narum really sees him. Oh, wait, that's Rover, his donkey. No, I don't know how he has a donkey out in space, but right now he's telling the donkey that he blasted too much rock.
This here planet is falling apart, and here we are without no way to get off of it before it does.
That thing he's working on is a broken part of his ship, hence the reason he can't get off the planet. Smith to the rescue. He says, I'd like to be your partner in this cosmonium venture. Narum says, thanks, but no thanks.
I've been a loner most of my life, and I'm getting too old to change now. This little poke of cosmonium is about the last of the diggings for me. It's gonna be like my pension fund.
That's assuming he ever gets home, which ain't gonna happen because his ship has a broken thruster control.
Give anything for a spare. Even gamble with my pension fund.
You would? You would gamble with this priceless substance?
Most of it, I reckon. If I had to. Oh, but what's the use? No one's gonna bet with me.
Wanna bet? I mean, you can bet Smith's wheels are turning. He says, I may be back.
My mission was a failure. I lost my way.
You lost your way. You've been up there 100 times.
But never in the dark.
I told you he wouldn't do any actual work. He's a goof-off, but you're a dimwit for expecting him to do something besides goof off.
Here, Dad.
Thank you.
It means losing a couple of hours of my working here if I go up now. Maybe we better just forget it.
No, some of that equipment may be vital to us, if and when we land on Alpha Centauri.
Maybe I should go with him, Dad. I've been up there at night.
All right, Dr. Smith. You can go back up there with Will.
He and Will take off in the chariot.
There's a turnoff.
Later, my boy, later. I have a little something to deliver to Mr. Narum. The poor man needs a spare part for his ship.
You can't give him that. That's a thruster control. Where'd you get it?
No cause for alarm, my dear boy. I found it on the junk pile.
It's amazing how easily the lies come to some people. Narum keeps assuring him that the Robinsons are wrong, the planet is solid as a...
There. Yes.
I don't see why you have to play cards with Mr. Narum, Dr. Smith. Why don't you just give him?
Mr. Narum is a proud and conscientious man. His pride will not allow him to accept charity.
That's right, son. Never accepted no charity in my whole life.
You know, there's a much easier way to do this that doesn't involve charity or gambling. You give Smith a little of the cosmonium, he gives you the thruster control. You could call it, what's a word for exchange of goods and services of similar value?
A 10 of galaxies. And all I've got is a deuce of asteroids. Looks like you're starting out lucky, Zach boy.
Galaxies? Asteroids? I don't believe I understand these cards.
Since he doesn't know the game, of course he loses.
Aren't you going to give me a chance for revenge?
Well, I don't need nothing but this. Besides, I gotta get out of here. I ain't got no time. It looks like your friends was right about this planet. It ain't gonna be nothing but cosmic dust pretty quick.
What? It can't be. You told me.
Well, I guess my calculations went a mite haywire.
But somehow he left behind 2 flasks of cosmonium. Smith grabs them and he and Will go back up the rabbit hole.
There. That's better.
There he goes.
And if the boys don't have an extra thruster control for the Jupiter 2, he's the only one who'll be leaving that way. But right now there's a bigger crisis. Smith's statue of himself fell down. Oh no! Even though it'll be vaporized when the planet pulls apart, Will has to help him set it back up. Or not. There's nothing for it. They have to get the drilling equipment and get back to the ship. Take your 1 flask and go. I'm glad it didn't spill on that column. Picture that thing boinging around like a giant pogo stick. That's statue talk for hug, Daddy. They duck into the chariot, and by a process of elimination, they figure out it wants the cosmonium. Smith gives it what he has, but it wants more. Meanwhile, John is flying around in the jetpack trying to find these two. Well, fine, if that's your attitude. You build him, you bring him to life, then have some guy shoot him when he asks for a hug. Back at the ship, it's time for everyone to get strapped in for takeoff.
We'll go into orbit at minimum apogee and remain in orbit around this planet until there is no planet. After that, we'll be free of gravitational pull and on our way.
Wait a minute. You have to reach escape velocity to get into orbit in the first place, and if you're in a stable orbit, the gravitational pull is weak enough that you could get out and push the ship away if you have to. The way he's talking, they might just as well stay on the ground, wait for the planet to explode, and hope the outward force throws them clear of everything. Well, so far they don't seem to be missing that part Smith stole. They didn't even notice it was gone.
3-second burst on 5.
Roger. No power. Starting to roll. We can't pull free of the planet's gravity.
I may have spoken too soon. They don't have any control over their thrusters, possibly because Dr. Smith gambled away their thruster controller.
I sure wish we had that old thruster control now.
What do you mean?
There was one on the junk pile. Dr. Smith gave it to that old mining engineer.
Smith confesses, and Maureen says, "Get upstairs right now and tell them what you did."
I can't do it now. I'm strapped in.
Well, then unstrap and get right up there.
Insist.
Will, I think you'd better go up with him.
Good idea. He needs an adult to keep him on task.
You will bear me out, won't you, Will, when I tell them that I meant no harm. It was just a vagrant impulse.
You'll have to explain that yourself. I don't know what a vagrant impulse means.
To say nothing of an adult to help cut through all the boulders.
Dr. Smith has something to tell you, Don.
What is it?
Nothing at all. That is, if you're able to repair what appears to be wrong.
So far, no luck.
You'd better tell him, Doctor.
I only did it out of the goodness of my heart.
Did what?
Donated one of our thruster controls to Mr. Nerim. The one that was there.
Now that he knows what's wrong, he can find a way around it and save the ship, which he does.
So out of the goodness of your heart, you nearly signed all our death warrants.
Except his own, naturally. He was quite sure that all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put the Jupiter back together again.
Believe me, Major, I have the deepest admiration for your remarkable ingenuity. Nothing pleases me more than to be proved wrong.
You sure know how to change your mind fast, Dr. Smith.
It's taken you 30 episodes to figure that out, but they never seem to get a chance to finish reaming him and enact some sort of discipline or punishment.
Mom, Dad, come here, quick. The Nova flare. Oh, looking like a rainbow after a storm.
After the storms we've been through, I think we're entitled to it.
I'm not sure what a nova flare is either. A nova is a star that's shedding its skin, basically. A solar flare is pretty much what its name suggests. So a nova flare is a solar flare that goes all around?
We must be nearly 1 million miles out in space, Dad.
Closer to 2 million, son.
Wow, we must be traveling at close to speed of light.
Light travels at 186,000 miles a second. A tad over 5 seconds, you have 1 million miles. So if you're almost 2 million miles out and you're traveling at close to the speed of light, you've been traveling for just under 10 seconds. It took you longer than that to tear into Dr. Smith. Are you sure you guys know how to numbers?
John, maneuver around it. We can't get around it. We've had it.
We're going to
nova remnants tend to be more gas clouds than burning charcoal briquettes. So if that's an actual nova remnant, they should be fine as long as they can steer around the star that went nova in the first place, which shouldn't be a problem. And if it really is a nova remnant, they should have been able to spot it way earlier. It might have been visible to the naked eye, looking something like this. Goodbye, giants. Goodbye, whoever built that catacomb with the oversized mummies. Goodbye, whoever built that cavern that Kando was in. Goodbye, bog beast. Goodbye, plant people. Goodbye, doggy. And goodbye, sleeping beauty. Check marks went into orbit around the next planet in the system. When the inhabitants began to develop space travel and found him, it started a whole new religion. I'll see you next time you find yourself lost in Irvingland.